I'm Alana.
I'm Clark.
And this is Bestie Energy.
Yay. Okay.
Welcome back, you guys.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready to talk. You were like, welcome back, guys. I'm like ready for you to do a whole intro. And I'm just like, I'm just vibing over here.
Anyway, you guys know the drill. You guys know the intro.
I don't even know what episode number we're on. I think we're on episode 6.
6, I think.
Yeah, I think this is episode 6. Plus, there's 2 bonus episodes out on Patreon now.
They were really good. We have one called Bestie or Bestie that we just did. That was really funny.
It was good. It was really, I listened to it this week. Because I listened to it back. And it was good. It was good. There's, basically what we did was we read, Am I the Asshole stories from Reddit.
You guys love those. Everyone loves those.
Everybody loves those. Yeah. They're so fun.
You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. And so we decided like who was Bestie or Beastie in the situation.
Opposite. Yeah. Beastie meaning the complete opposite of Bestie. You know, the worstie.
Yeah, like you are not great. You are not our friend. So that was good. That was good. Which leads us naturally into, if you guys would like bonus episodes every month, you should go join our Patreon. They're also early and ad-free.
Yes, ad-free. You guys don't want to listen to us do ads.
Yeah, no. We keep forgetting to film ads, and we haven't gotten anybody reaching out to us for ad content yet. So all of our ads are literally like
Lee.
Yeah, or like, hey guys, please go join our Patreon. Again.
We do have a Patreon if you guys aren't aware.
Yeah, no, exactly. We've said it 5 times. But no, we're going to be coming out with some t-shirt content too. Soon.
We need to work on that.
We do need to work on that. We're probably going to have a Bestie or Beastie t-shirt.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Wouldn't that be so cute?
Right? Yes.
And so we will be posting that, and then we'll probably be making ad content for that. But Alana has a story for you guys today, and I'm going to try to not read it off of her laptop screen.
She has the worst habit. I have it all I like to type everything out, and she likes to just be like, I'm like, stop, you're going to spoil everything for yourself.
Well,
stop it.
It's hard because it's like your laptop is right there and it's got such a big screen and you put it in such big type, and I'm just sitting here and our camera is like right here and your laptop is right here. So I'm just like, naturally, my eyes are just naturally drawn to the words, and I can't
try
help
to look
it.
This way.
And the funny thing is I read, part of the reason, and I realize this, part of the reason that I read so fast is that I don't actually sound out words. I don't sound out the letters. I see the shape of a word.
Like the first and last part.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I have the shape of a word memorized. And so it's like when I see it, it's almost like absorbing. Because I realized this when I started studying Chinese. Because you can't phonetically sound those out. They're pictographs.
Yeah.
Right? They're characters. And I realized I do the exact same thing with English. I see it like a picture.
That's so interesting. Did you do that before or after?
No, I think I've always done that. I think when I started learning to read, I would sound things out. But I think over time, I got so accustomed to reading that it became like a picture.
Well, and I feel like in a way I kind of do that, not like the same way, but I definitely don't sit there and like sound every word out. I look at like the overall word, like the first part and last part, and I don't know, but yeah.
So it's like, so I read pretty instantaneously because I can see it and it's just like a picture to me. And so I'm just like, I'm not looking.
She's not going to look.
I'm trying really hard not to look.
So we are going to be doing a pretty interesting story. My boyfriend actually told me about this one, and I never heard about it. I looked into it and I was like, I'm not too sure. And then when I did more research, I was like, that is fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Well, we love it when a man supports his woman's business.
Right? Absolutely. So I'm going to set the scene. Pretend it's 1982. And you just, something bad happened, unfortunately. You lost a family member, and it's really tragic. It's awful. But imagine your family member goes, and this family member is like, let's pretend it's your great aunt. She's really sweet, really like always been humble, always been just like this really sweet old lady, right?
Okay.
She goes and
don't have that experience.
Imagine an obituary comes out after her passing.
Right.
And you find out that her life, the entire time, that she was the first and arguably the greatest spy that we have ever had in World War II.
So listen, I'm picturing our great aunt.
Could you imagine?
The one who was very active in our lives and maybe wasn't always welcome. I'm trying to be nice. And if that had happened, I think I would have been like, shook is too light of a word.
Right?
I would have been like, nah.
Or your grandma or something, like you find out.
Our grandmother, I would believe it 100%.
Oh my gosh. And then like they pass away, and then in the obituary, literally on her deathbed, that's when she finally is like, yeah, you guys can tell my story.
No, you know what though? Our grandmother, I would believe it.
Yeah.
I would believe it so fast. Except that
depth.
she was born during World War II.
Right.
But if she was older, oh, I could see it.
She could be her. So
I could see it.
We are going to be talking about Virginia Hall. And Virginia Hall shows she was born in 1906 in April. Her parents were Edwin Lee and Barbara Hall. She grew up in Baltimore. And her mother, so her family was pretty wealthy because of her dad. And her mom had pretty much just married rich and had like a pretty like leisurous lifestyle. Leisurely. Thank you. This is why she's here, you guys.
A leisurous lifestyle.
She had a leisurous lifestyle, you guys.
I'm going to say that from now on. No,
I invent words when I don't know them.
I love this though. Like, oh, she married rich and had a leisurely lifestyle. I am taking applications. Listen.
Yeah. So her mom had that kind of lifestyle. And so with Virginia, she was like, kind of expecting her to go along the same way. She's like, you're going to get married rich and you're just going to have this laid back life, and that's kind of how she raised her to be, which makes sense.
Valid?
Right.
Honestly.
With the time period, with not being able to do a lot, I'm just setting the scene because it's incredible what Virginia ended up doing.
This actually makes me think of the movie we were watching the other night. The Mona Lisa Smile.
I actually went back and rewatched it.
You did?
Good.
It was so good.
That movie.
Well, if you guys haven't seen Mona Lisa Smile, it's very much covering the topics of like the 1960s housewife and like a girl's choice to go to school and have a career or get married, because you
or try to do both even.
But like a lot of times you couldn't do both.
Yeah,
like societal expectations, you couldn't.
Yeah.
And we had this whole conversation because there was this girl, she's very much painted as the villain, but she tells her friend, like, if you are gonna, because her friend had applied to law school, and she's like, you're about to ruin your whole life and all of this. And so she's very much painted as the villain because she's trying to like
stop her from her like dream. But at the same time, you get where she's coming from.
I get where she's coming from. She was so scared of like her friend just being cast out by society.
Well, because she was raised with this whole like from day one of like, this is what it is. You get married, you have this like white picket fence lifestyle, and you are the housewife, and that's what she was raised with from day one. And it's like there are no other options.
No, exactly. And it's funny because I was actually rewatching Bridgerton too this week, and there's a similar plot line in the first season where there's a woman who's trying to convince a girl to get married who's in a bad situation. Yeah. And she's very much painted as the villain. But on the rewatch, I'm like, I get it. Because she's right. Like, this girl is going to end up completely cast out and life's going to be hell for her. So, I mean, I think a lot of times in a modern lens, we're like, oh, she was just raised to get married.
No, but it makes sense.
But in hindsight, I see where the mom is coming from here. Because 100%. She just wants her daughter to have a good life.
Right. No, I 100% agree with that, Clark. Mm-hmm. So, so her mom was like expecting her to kind of go on this path that she went on to. But she actually kind of followed her father more so. And she was a really big tomboy from the get-go. She was really adventurous and like a leader from day one. Ooh. And so they were like, oh, she has different aspirations. Cool. So they pretty much encouraged that for her, especially her dad.
That's amazing, though.
Right? Her dad, like, really was like, you can do whatever you want to do. He taught her how to hunt and gave her own shotgun. Ooh. So, so that's the kind of lifestyle that she started.
Our dad was like that for a while. And then I got a brother. And then he was like, no, actually, you're a girl. It was really weird. It was very much like a left turn, like, wait a minute.
You're like, shoot, now I gotta start being a girl. So Virginia actually did try to do like what her mother had aspired for her to do. Like she actually did try to she got engaged to this guy. They were together for a little bit, but they actually ended up breaking up, and she started going to school because that was what she wanted to do.
Ooh.
I know.
So wait, so she was born in 1906. So would it have been like around the 20s?
The 20s that she went to 1924 is when she started going to college.
Bro. Yeah. I would have killed to be in my 20s in the 20s.
Right? The flapper time period and all that. And
I would have loved that.
She actually has this quote, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say it was in a journal that she had. But she has a quote where, let me find it really quick, where she said, she would have liberty from a young age. She said, I will have liberty.
Darn straight. You know what's really weird?
I was like, that's a cool quote.
You and I are on such a similar wavelength because my story that I'm going to be telling
every
today...
time, you guys. We do not plan this. We don't talk at all about who we're researching.
No, we don't. We literally don't, because we want our reactions to be genuine.
Well, and last time we both did our first, like, guide, too.
We did, and then they were around the same time period.
Around the same time period, yep.
And they're both still alive.
Yeah.
And then this time you just said it's a woman who said, I will have liberty, and I'm like, very
similarities, yeah. So, from a very early age, she prioritized her education. She was like, this is what's important to me. I want to get a good education. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to travel. She really wanted to see the world. And she figured a good way to do this was learning languages, as many languages as she could.
I love that.
Right? She was like, I'm going to master as many languages as I can so I can go wherever I want to go.
I love languages.
Right?
I love languages.
So this woman knew English, obviously. She learned French, Italian, and German.
Okay, awesome? So like French and Italian. I feel like you learn French, you can learn Italian.
Similar. And then German.
But like German, listen, I tried with German and I really want to learn Russian.
Yeah.
I really, really want to learn Russian. But I did like 2 lessons and I was like, damn.
It's a hard language.
It's insane.
And like both like German and Russian, they sound so intense, you know. So
I love Russian. Right? Anyway, go on.
So she became fluent in 4 languages now. Okay. So she's now fluent in 4 languages.
It's impressive.
And so she's getting her education. Her goal is to become an ambassador. That's what she wants to do.
You know, I wanted to do that at one point in time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that.
Yeah, when I was in high school, and then I like completely lost confidence in myself.
Aw.
I know.
Wow. I actually had no idea. So, well, in 1924, that's when she started studying. She went to Cambridge, and then that's in Massachusetts, and then she went to Bernard in Manhattan.
Bernard. I've never heard of Bernard.
I actually haven't either. I was like, oh.
Hey besties, Clark here. I know, ads, ew, but I wanted to plug our Patreon for you guys again. Did you know that if you sign up for our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Bestie Rebellion, you get an extra bonus episode every single month, and you also get every episode of Bestie Energy early and ad-free. We also post bloopers on there from when we film our TikTok videos and when we film our podcast episodes. It's a really good time. And we also do a Zoom meeting live every month with all of our awesome patrons if you want to join. So go head on over there, check it out. It's a good vibe. It's a good time. Thanks, besties. Bye.
So, like I said earlier, she's like, how am I going to travel the world? The way she got her leg up is like learning these languages, becoming fluent. And she was right. So after, she was fluent in French, Italian, English, and German, she actually got to go into Paris, because at that time, that's where she really wanted to go. Mm-hmm. In France in the 20s, it was like an up and coming area. There's like all this art. There's like really adventurous lifestyle out there. So she really wanted to like go out there and see what was going on.
I feel that. I feel that. That's cool.
Right? So she ended up going to Paris in 1926. And then in 1927, only a year later, she ended up going to Vienna, Austria.
Oh my God. I bet that was such a vibe.
Right? She actually loved it. She, like, obviously she's focusing on her school, but she got a little into the lifestyle too and was like, I love it here.
I'm just picturing the aesthetic. Right? At some point, like, we love fancy teas. Mm, at some point, I would dearly love to go to a fancy tea in Europe.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so
because I feel
fantastic.
Like our fanciest tea is
definitely
comparable to their fancy teas.
Right? No, definitely not. So this is kind of just setting the background, because obviously we know what's about to start happening in about 10 years in the 1930s. But, in the 1920s, she's falling in love with France. She loves it. She's like, this is my place to be. Because she does travel a lot in Europe, but she consistently just keeps going back to France. So after she lived in Paris in her 20s, like I said, she fell in love with it, and then she ended up going to Vienna in Austria. And then during that time, while she's in Austria, her father unfortunately passed away from a heart attack. Oh. Yeah, and this was in 1931, and obviously she's really devastated by this because she's close to her mom, but she was way closer to her father.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he is the one that encouraged her to be able to do all these things, so she's really upset.
Yeah.
So after this, she started becoming a clerk at an American embassy, and this is in Warsaw. And she knew she wasn't going to be
That's
happy.
in Poland.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to look that up because I was like, Warsaw.
Because I was, you know, what's sad is that when I think Warsaw, I think of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Yeah.
And that's like what's ingrained in my head.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. It's the thing you think of. But, so she knew, she's like, I'm not going to be happy doing a desk job. This is not going to be what I want to do.
Girl, same though.
Right? So she just wanted to be a diplomat and eventually an ambassador. So she kept applying. There was like this entrance exam that she had to do. But there just kept being issues. There was like 4 times that she got denied to become an ambassador through her application. Like the first time she submitted it through the mail and it got quote unquote lost. And honestly, there's a lot of rumors that it's because she was a woman.
That would make sense.
Right? Second time she went in person, she's like, all right, I'm here. And she had to pass because she had this great education. She's fluent in all these languages. She automatically qualified for an interview. But these guys told her the wrong time and the wrong place for the interview. So she just was disqualified. They're like, okay, you're out again.
What a bunch of jerks.
Right? So she's just like trying
a woman. She cannot possibly handle diplomatic relations. Oh my God. But side note, can you imagine being the ambassador to Germany in the 1930s? No, thank you. Hard pass.
So in 1933, she actually ended up moving to Turkey, to a city called Izmir. And this is where a pretty life-changing event happened for her. So like I mentioned earlier, she enjoyed hunting and her dad bought her a shotgun. So she was actually on like this hunting trip with her friends at this time.
In Turkey?
In Turkey. And it was on December 8th, 1933. And she was out humping.
She was out what?
I need a minute.
She was out doing what?
She was hunting.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, Mom. No, that's so funny. Okay, so she was out hunting snipes, which are like these
emphasis on that T. Hunt.
They're hunting, you guys. That was really funny. Good. So they're hunting snipes, which are these really small birds that are actually really hard to shoot.
Oh, they're real?
Yeah, that's actually where the term sniper comes from.
No.
Really? Are you joking?
No, I'm serious.
Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic. Yeah. So like they're these little birds that people would go out and shoot, and they're so hard to shoot. You use the shotgun usually, and they were so hard to shoot. Like people who were good at that became known as snipers.
That's wild. First of all, I had no idea. Second of all, I'm thinking of the movie Up when he's like telling the little boy to go find a snipe.
I forgot.
I thought it was a made up word.
No,
legit. Bird, I didn't think that. Oh wow.
Yeah. So she's out here. She's on a hunting adventure, shooting some snipes.
Sniping some snipes.
So
wow.
There was this fence that she had tried to scale. Like she jumped over the fence and scaled it, and then she had forgotten to turn her safety off on her gun.
Girl.
Yes.
Man.
I know. She gun safety
101.
Right? So she forgot to turn the safety off and she tripped, unfortunately, which led to the gun firing, and she shot herself in the left foot.
Stupid.
I'm sure she felt stupid because, like, you literally shot yourself in the foot. So she shot herself in the foot, and because of that, she passed out from the pain. Her friends ended up, like, carrying her, helping her to a nearby hospital. This is, like, 10 years before antibiotics were invented. So,
are you serious? Mm-hmm. Why did I think antibiotics were invented in, like, the early 1900s?
I don't know, yeah. I think it was, like, in the 30s, I guess. So they didn't have any kind of way to... it was infected. They didn't really have anything to do besides just cut her leg off.
No.
So all the way below her knee, she had her left leg cut off.
She lost her leg?
She lost it.
From getting shot in the foot?
She shot herself in the foot and she lost her leg, yeah.
Although I guess it is a shotgun, so like those are
that was
nasty wounds.
I don't even want to know.
She's lucky to be alive.
Right? And so she woke up in the hospital and she saw, she's missing a leg, and she's so upset because she's like, how am I going to do all these things that I wanted to do now?
Yeah, no. Oh, poor thing. I realized I just smeared my
when you're like, forget you wear makeup.
Yeah, I forgot I was wearing makeup and I totally just smeared my eyebrows. So if you're like watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry. I'm just like you're just fixing my face real quick. All right, go on.
So she got a hollow wooden leg, like as a prosthetic because of this. And it had like leather straps that would strap to her stump, but it was really uncomfortable. I mean, as you can imagine, the stump would, like, depending on how much she was moving around, which this woman was she was a go-getter. She was moving around. Nothing was stopping her. So, and depending on how much she was doing, like, it could cause, the wooden leg could chafe on the stump, causing like bleeding, blisters. It was horrible.
Well, and it's like I always think about that, like a stump like that, and then like the bone inside the stump and that kind of, like, that's not meant to take weight.
No.
You know, not like that. And so it just, and I know that they've made like some strides in like how they amputate and that kind of thing to like give you a good stump.
Yeah.
But I remember when I dislocated my knee and I was on crutches for a while, like the inconvenience is insane. Oh my gosh.
No, seriously. So she has to learn how to live her life now like this.
Yeah.
Well, and like another thing, because it's like a hollow wooden leg, when she would walk downstairs, like she was really at risk of like falling over. So she had to like learn how to balance. She ended up moving back to America for a few years to learn how to live as an amputee. You know,
I feel like I would just like grip the bar really well and like hop on the one foot.
Right?
I feel like that's how I would deal with stairs.
So, no, yeah. Like, I'm done with this. She ended up naming her wooden stump, though, which is kind of funny.
I would do that.
She gave it a,
you know, that's
she gave it a name, which I don't know what this means, but the name was Cuthbert. Don't know why or what that means, but I'm like,
maybe it was a reference to something,
right?
Or maybe it was just a name that she thought was cool.
Yeah, so she's got good old Cuthbert that she's relying on getting around. So she's back in America, learning how to cope and walk and learn and do everything from back to, well, because obviously you have to relearn how to do everything, like showering, sitting, standing, going to the bathroom, sleeping, everything.
Like, I feel like that affects you being able to roll over in your sleep.
Yes. Oh, it's horrible. And I'm sure there's times where she woke up and like forgot that she didn't have like a leg, you know?
Well, and it's a thing too where like, and I read about this when I was doing my bachelor's in psychology. But there's like, I forget what the exact name of the syndrome is. It's like phantom limb or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it's like, it hurts.
That's insane.
Like they literally feel pain.
That's insane. But it's not.
But there. It's not there.
That's so, the body, your mind is so weird.
And I think so. And at the time I did my degree was like, what, 12 years ago? So 12 years ago, I don't know if this has changed. They thought this had something to do with like maybe your nerves like knew something was wrong, but didn't know what.
Wow. That's
and so it was like they're sending pain signals.
That makes sense.
Because it's like, something's off here.
You're missing something.
Something is incorrect.
Something my boyfriend told me actually that was pretty interesting is like like our bodies, you know how when you get a cut or something, your body automatically like sends, I don't know like what it is to like start repairing. You get like a scab and you start like repairing.
Yeah. It sends like your immune system to deal with it.
Like if we didn't, like there would be a way because of that where we could like regenerate, like, you know how like lizards, if they get like their tail cut off, like they just regenerate like another tail. But because like ours just ends up like scabbing over because of like risk of infection, like it would be interesting if like we ended up just like regenerating our limbs, you know what I'm saying? Like
that would be nice.
That would
would help a lot of people if we could figure out how to regenerate limbs. But that makes me think of the guy from Spider-Man.
The lizard from Spider-Man.
He was missing his arm and he tried to fix it and it did not go well for anybody involved.
Maybe we should take that as a message to just not do that.
Well, just be very careful.
Yeah. So anyway, so I had said that she went back to America for a couple of years, but I guess it was just a couple months because this happened in 1933, and then 1934 she actually already like secured a job in Venice. So like she's like, this is not going to stop me.
She's like, yes, yeah. It makes me think of Loki being like, yes, very sad. Anyway.
So she got a job in Venice. She's it's at the American consulate, which I'm honestly not even sure what she's doing. It's like another office job basically, but
yeah, but like the consulate is like where the ambassador
is, but she's not, I don't know like what
ambassador.
she's, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. But she's trying to like get her leg up. I'm so sorry.
I feel like we need to issue a formal apology to the disabled
I didn't even mean to do that. I just said I was going to say she's going to get her leg up and it came out. Woo, okay.
We did not mean to offend anybody with that. So sorry.
Okay.
It was not a good one. Alana, we're apologizing right now.
Oh, sorry about that.
Poor word choice.
Poor word choice is what it was.
Poor word choice.
So anyways, so she's working at the American consulate, and then she's like, I'm still going to try to apply to be a diplomat. But now they have a real reason to deny her, because they're like, well, you're an amputee. We can't.
Oh.
So you can't work at an office job like as an ambassador without a leg, apparently. Okay.
That's ridiculous. Like, what are ambassadors doing?
Right? That's the thing. And you'll see other things that she ends up doing. It's ridiculous that they wouldn't let her do that. Because it's like the other things she did do, I'm like,
well, I feel like she's experiencing a double tier of discrimination here. Because obviously she's experiencing discrimination as a woman, and then now a member of the disabled community.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. That's exactly what she's experiencing.
Classic disability discrimination there.
Yes. So, while she's working at the American consulate, she's actually transferred to Estonia and to the capital called Tallinn.
Oh, I had a therapist from Estonia. She was my favorite person. Sorry,
is that where she was from?
That's where she was from. Yeah.
And at this time, they're experiencing like their own rise of corrupt power. It's not going pretty well there. And she's like been working there for about like 7 years at this point, and she's not really moving up. And she's like, I'm done. You know, I'm not getting anywhere. I don't have anything to show for this. So she resigns, but she stays in Tallinn for a few months trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do next? Doesn't take long because it's 1939 and Germany invades Poland. So,
and Estonia is like I think it's right next to Russia.
Right. Yeah.
So there's Germany, there's Poland, and then I don't know if does Poland border Russia?
There's a small, like a tiny little. It borders Ukraine, I think.
I'm gonna look really quick.
We're gonna look it up.
Map of Europe, because
I know like that. There's like a little border between like Poland,
Belarus,
and
my friend, and then it does border Ukraine.
Okay, and Ukraine.
I'm all she's all annoyed. She's like, no. Yeah, see, I didn't think that Poland hit right up against Russia. I was definitely a little confused. I was like, yeah. All right, hang on. We're pulling
Europe
up.
Is so interesting though.
No, it really is. And it's, you guys got to excuse us. We didn't memorize. We had an American public school education.
Right? No, when I got out of school and I started looking at maps, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got,
it's at the top.
We've got Belarus. We've got, why is there just a 1? There's a country that just has a 1 on it. What is that? What country is that? Right on top of Belarus.
Guys, what country is under Latvia?
Yeah, and then there's Latvia, and then there's Estonia up in the north. And Estonia is bordered by Russia, and then, like, the sea. And then across, like, a narrow channel, there's Finland. Seriously, what the heck is that, though?
I'm gonna find out, though, because that actually bugs me.
I'm so confused. And then there's, like, this little patch right here that they're saying is Russia. What the heck? So, like, Russia is here, and Russia is also that? Look.
Ah. Oh, I know. The little part that said Russia.
I feel like this is an incorrect map. I'm so confused right now.
I think it's wrong, honestly.
What the hell?
Okay, guys.
Sorry, guys. We're pausing here while
we like learn about the world.
Oh, it's Lithuania. That must have been an old map.
Probably.
No, but look, this still says Russia. Hi guys, so we just had a really annoying thing happen. We had been recording for like half an hour when I looked over and realized it wasn't recording.
Yeah, super fun time. So
we're just we're gonna touch you up on what we found out about Estonia and where it is on the map. Only this time I'm not gonna change tabs to look at the map because I think that might have been what stopped the recording.
Maybe. That's dumb, stupid.
So stupid. So basically Estonia's in the north. It's bordered by the ocean and by Russia. And underneath Estonia is Latvia. And underneath that is a Russia patch.
Literally a little like Alaska, Russia.
Yeah, it was so weird. I had no idea that Russia had like a patch.
I didn't either. It's like right above Poland. And I'm like, since when?
Yeah, and it's literally separated from Russia by Belarus.
Yeah, Russia's wild.
That's so weird. I was so confused because, like, the map says Russia, and I was like, Russia is not the size of a small island. What?
Russia's huge.
It's so freaking weird.
I guess Russia has an Alaska, you guys.
Russia does indeed.
I wonder who lives there.
Yeah, if you live in the Russian Alaska, please drop a comment. I'm so curious. I'm so curious. All right. Anyway, so now we're, my reactions may be a little less natural because I've now heard this story and
not the whole thing, but
a lot of it for the last half hour and we weren't recording. So sorry.
Here we go. Okay. So Germany just invaded Poland. It's 1939. And because of this invasion, Virginia's like, it's a good time to head out. So she catches,
time to head out.
She catches the last boat to London, and she really wants to help in the war efforts because of what's going on. So she starts applying, like seeing where she can jump in. But because of her disability, they don't let her. They're like, what can you do?
That's such BS.
Yeah, no, literally, they're just like, you don't have a leg. I mean,
and you know they're going to be changing their tune as the war gets bad.
Yeah, they're going
to be like, everybody must help.
They're going to need her. And the ridiculous thing is she applied, like I said, so many times to be a diplomat, and she couldn't do that. But what she does end up doing is she becomes an ambulance driver. She can do that.
So, wait. So she left London?
Right, I'm sorry. So it's 1940. She ends up going back to France in the active war, and that's where she becomes an ambulance driver.
That's amazing. So did we already talk about Vichy?
So this
it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet. Sorry. They haven't occupied it yet. So
I'm sorry, guys.
So it's an active battle scene. She's working as an ambulance driver, trying to do what she can. And a lot of the time she's like dragging soldiers into the ambulance, driving them like 200 miles to the hospital. But like when she's dragging them back to the ambulance, a lot of the time she's under attack, you know?
Yeah. I remember reading that like ambulance drivers were frequently killed. And it's interesting because it was like, I think it was seen a lot of times as like a woman's job. Like women could be acceptable as ambulance drivers. I don't know if that's 100% true.
Clearly it is.
But I've definitely read stories where it's like a woman served as an ambulance driver. So I think it was something that was seen.
That's okay.
But it was still extremely dangerous because they were under fire.
Yes. No, seriously. She was trying to do anything she could to help, though.
That's amazing.
And this is when Nazis started to occupy France, and that's when Vichy France came about. So they literally drew a line through France of like where's occupied by Germans and then what's like unoccupied, which unoccupied France was called Vichy France, which is where Virginia was staying. But it was basically just a puppet state that was controlled by the Gestapo.
I'm still so confused about that. Like if there's any like little novice historians or professional historians who know about that whole scenario, I'm really curious like why that happened, because the Nazis definitely it seems to me that they had the power to occupy France as a whole, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe the war was kind of taking them out. I don't know.
It's so interesting, and it's like we've been hearing about this war since we were kids, and I still am learning about it. So because Nazis came in and occupied France. Like she was in Vichy France, but she decided to head out again because it was getting really dangerous because it was a puppet state. I mean, there's Gestapo everywhere. She's not safe. So
and the French police were essentially puppets of the Nazis.
Yeah. So she started to make her way back to England, but she wanted to go back to France one day because she's like, this is my home. This is where I love to be. And she's at a train station one day going back to England, and she comes into contact with this guy named George Bellows. And George is actually an undercover British agent.
Ooh, he's a James Bond.
Yes, he doesn't tell her this, but he's an undercover agent, and he's really impressed with Virginia because she strikes up a conversation with him and starts telling him about her story, how she lost her leg, how she's been trying to become an ambassador and she hasn't been able to, so she's been working as an ambulance driver and everything. So he's really impressed with her. And he's like, here's a number. I'm going to give you a number to get a job opportunity. She doesn't know what this job is.
So he kind of buried the lead. He didn't really tell her like, oh, by the way, I am a special agent.
Oh no. He's just like, here's a number. This is my friend. He can help you out with the job.
Okay.
So this number actually was to Nicholas Boddington. Who was actually the new head of the SOE, which is the Special Operations Executive, which is like the British CIA.
So wait, what's MI6 then?
I've never heard of MI6, bro.
I cannot believe you've never heard of MI6. I thought MI6 was the British CIA. Like, I literally just watched all of Killing Eve.
Yeah.
And it's like, hello, I'm so-and-so, MI6.
What is MI6?
I don't know.
British MI6 versus US CIA.
She's Googling, guys. The early conflict between MI6 and SOE.
Now I'm more confused.
There's got to be like a history of like agencies, intelligence
and
agencies.
And then there's the Secret Intelligence Service, which is the SIS, known as the MI6, viewed SOE. We don't know, guys. I'm getting more confused.
I am happy, though, to hear that MI6 is real, because for a second, I just had this moment of like, what if MI6 is something that was just made up for movies?
Probably. Well, it's real. So, yeah. Nicholas Boddington, he's the head of the SOE. That's who the number was for. But she actually like put the number in her pocket, her jacket pocket, and just kind of continued, forgot about it, went back to England and was living her life and was like, la la la.
Girl,
right.
Miss Ma'am.
Like, come on.
She's like, I want a job. I want to help. Oh, somebody gave me a number to help. And
la 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 la. and then finally she's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And then she takes out the number and gives him a call and realizes, oh.
Oh.
And
you can have me doing something.
Oh yeah. And Nicholas actually was really impressed with her too, because of her ability to speak French fluently, the fact that she was an American and was familiar with French culture because she had already lived there. So he was like,
it's amazing how the sexism disappears when the world is at war. Like, right? At least a little bit, where it's like, oh, we actually need more people to risk their lives.
Yeah.
So now women are welcome in official positions.
We need help. Yeah.
Jeez.
So he sends her out to Vichy, France again, and she's posing as a journalist for the New York Post.
Okay.
So she's working out there, you know, writing articles, updating what's happening in the war, but the whole time she's also working as a spy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So she was sent there with some money, a few cyanide pills in case something went wrong.
You need the cyanide pills. I feel like we live in such uncertain times that we should all just have cyanide pills.
That's my right.
It's like, in the event that something goes wrong.
Yeah. No, seriously, like, you should have the option.
The nukes are in the air. Where's my cyanide pill?
Yeah. No, for real.
Sorry, guys.
So they sent her out there. The SOE sent her out there. She's like the first spy getting sent out there, and she's being told to set up a spy network.
So she's all by herself.
Yeah.
And they're just like, here you go, set up. That would be so hard.
That's crazy.
That would be so hard. Sorry, guys, I have to sneeze, and I really don't want to pause the video just to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. All right, proceed.
So she secured a room in Lyon, France, which is a city in France, at a hotel called the Grand Nouvelle.
The Grande Nouvelle.
Grande Nouvelle.
Oh.
And she set up camp there, and she starts making connections with people in the city. One of the first people that she ends up talking to is named George Whittinghill, who was an American vice consul. And America's neutral at the time. So she's like, obviously she's an American, so she does, like, feel comfortable talking to Americans, but she's like, they're neutral, so she doesn't know if they're going to be okay with what she's doing. Huh. You know what I mean?
How are you neutral, though?
Right. He wasn't, yeah. So he wasn't too sure if he was going to help her, but he was sympathetic to, like, what was going on, and so he became one of her first recruits and started helping her out. Mm-hmm. The way that he helped her was actually, he went into the American embassy, and he would use these things called diplomatic bags to send messages for her to London, because, you know, other spies were using wireless transmitters that could be intercepted, but this way, you know, with the diplomatic bags, they actually weren't searched by the Gestapo.
They didn't search diplomatic bags?
Nope.
That seems like if you were gonna search anything, why would you? That's so weird.
Yeah, because it's an American embassy, so it's like a neutral.
But the fact that they actually respected it, that it was like, oh, this is neutral, and then they were like, yes, you are neutral.
You are fine.
What?
Yeah.
That really surprises me.
So that's how she was getting her messages out, through the American embassy and through her connection, George, who works there, and he's getting her messages to and from London.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
She's starting to think, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to start taking this party down from the inside?
What party?
The Nazi party. Not a good party.
So taking Nazis down from the inside. I feel like
How would you do that?
My first instinct, like, if I was going to be a spy and I was trying to destabilize something, sorry, Mom, I know you listen to our podcast, but my first instinct is to use womanly wiles, you know, like the womanly skill set.
Oh, she did. She knew what men wanted and how to take them down from the inside, and she's going to make them fully like it.
She's gonna make them what?
Fully enjoy it while they do it too. While she takes them down.
While they do what to them?
So listen. So she gets to work she befriends a brothel owner named Joe Mongeret. Manger, or whatever. And then also a gynecologist named Dr. Jean Rousset. So she recruits them to work for her. And the gynecologist would pretty much clear women with STDs, clear them and say that they didn't have STDs so that they could go work in the brothel.
I guess I should be mildly, like, impressed that they had a gynecologist to, like examine sex workers and, like, clear them.
To make sure that they were cleared.
Well, yeah, so that surprises me that was even a thing.
Yeah.
But so he would fake clear them.
Yeah, he's like, you're good. Here's your paperwork.
Wow, you got a lot of things crawling around. No, you're fine, honey.
Right? And so he would not treat them, clear them, and then the brothel owner would have Nazis come in and purposely give them STDs.
That's hilarious.
Like, objectively so messed up, but it's the Nazis. So
it's the Nazis.
Yeah, I'm like, that is
hilarious.
Also,
though, I would be really concerned about like the safety of my girls. Yeah. Because like once they traced it and figured it out, I feel like they would show up and like burn the brothel down.
I know.
Like,
seriously, because if all of them went there and all of them.
But then I also wonder if it would go the other way, if like Nazi higher ups would be like, "Oh, you dirty idiots!"
Oh,
like,
no, they wouldn't. They were all doing that.
You know, like all these guys are like, "Oh no, we're coming down with STDs," and it's like, "Oh, you stupid," blah, you know.
No, seriously. So the brothel workers were giving them STDs, but not only this, they were also encouraging the Nazis to try heroin.
Huh?
Yeah, they were like, here, try heroin. It's a really great drug, so that they would basically become useless as soldiers.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I'm going to reference my psychology degree again. When I was doing psychology, I took neuropharmacology, which is quite a mouthful, but it's basically about like how different substances affect the brain.
I would love to learn that. That's so fascinating.
It was a really good class. And so this was about 10 years ago. And so marijuana wasn't legal at that point.
Yeah.
In a lot of places. And I remember my professor like very strongly making the case that like marijuana should not be classed the same as like these other quote unquote drugs. No. Because it doesn't in any way affect the body or the brain the same way.
Well, and now federally it is being reclassified. Which is good.
Awesome. That's awesome. Because they literally, so there's like, what I didn't know before I took that class is that there's literally tiers of classification. Yeah. And it was classed at the highest tier.
That's insane. Like alongside heroin and meth.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if meth was on the highest tier.
Like they were rating marijuana higher than meth?
They were rating it higher than cocaine.
That's ridiculous.
That's insane, right? Wow. So, but he, we were college students and stuff. And like, he really put a lot of his class emphasis on like, genuinely educating us, not as like just as future professionals, but also just as students and like young people about the effects of drugs on your body. And so like he would kind of tell us like, okay, like marijuana, fine, don't drive, but you're fine, and then he was like, alcohol, be careful if you've got a genetic link to it, like to alcoholism, but otherwise mostly fine, and he would tell us like, if you want to try cocaine, not a great idea, but like it's not necessarily going to ruin your life. I mean,
some people be honest with people, which is good,
which is great. But I remember one of the things that he just like hammered home to us was like, please, for the love of God, do what you got to do in your life, but never, ever, ever try heroin.
Yeah.
Ever. Because like heroin, it only takes one use for your brain to develop an addiction.
A serious addiction, yeah.
Yeah, and your brain is now dependent on it.
It's insane because then it's like your body then changes chemistry to where it's like instead of needing food, needing sleep, anything, you're needing heroin.
Exactly. So it's like that is not something that it's like, oh, I'll just try it once.
No. And it's really interesting too because another thing that my boyfriend had told me about World War II is that, I don't know if you knew, but Nazis were actually given meth to be like super soldiers basically.
Ugh.
Yeah, they were given like meth chocolate.
Meth chocolate.
Yeah, and
that's not funny, but what?
Yeah, like meth chocolate, meth pills and things so that they were super soldiers. Like you see how Hitler acted, it makes sense. The man was on meth.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at his speeches and then like think about it, he was on meth.
That's crazy. Well, you know what's interesting about that too though is that it actually also enabled them to dissociate from some of the atrocities that they were committing.
No, good point, because then it's like, you would think that's so inhumane. Why would you do that? They were on drugs.
They were literally on drugs.
Literally on drugs.
Well, and what's interesting is that that is actually a method employed today by some modern armies committing atrocities. Yeah. Except not with meth, cocaine.
That's so disturbing.
It is. It's extremely
Humans are
disturbing.
Already messed up too. That's so messed up.
Humans are.
We don't need drugs to be messed up.
I know why the aliens don't like us.
They're staying far, far away.
They're like, the Earth is ghetto. They're like, no.
So, these brothel workers are giving Nazis heroin, giving them STDs, and that's how she's starting to take down them from the inside. It's pretty interesting. But she starts recruiting other spies in the area too. And they were using wireless transmitters to communicate, which, like, as we know, can be intercepted by Nazis. And she actually ended up gathering a whole network of spies that they named the Hecklers.
The hecklers.
The hecklers.
That's cute.
Isn't that? Yeah, I think it's really interesting. So it's 1941, and one night, 12 of these spies decide to have a meeting together at this house, like get together, talk about their plans, probably celebrate and probably brag about what they've been doing too.
I feel like a giant meeting of spies, and like especially all the spies in the area, is maybe not an amazing idea.
Exactly what Virginia said. Virginia was like, I will not be there.
She's like, you're gonna do what?
She was like, you guys are dumb.
What?
So Virginia avoided that. She was like, I'm not going to be there. But little did they know the Vichy
so
police
weird.
actually had already captured a different SOE operative.
Oh no.
And they had informed them about the house and the meeting, and so they like were aware of what was going to happen.
Oh no. So they knew a place and time that all these people were going to be.
Exactly.
Oh, come on.
Right, and it made it so easy for them to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all 12 of them.
Shooting gallery, bum, 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 bum.
Right?
Hey besties, Clark here. I know, ads, ew, but I wanted to plug our Patreon for you guys again. Did you know that if you sign up for our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Bestie Rebellion, you get an extra bonus episode every single month, and you also get every episode of Bestie Energy early and ad-free. We also post bloopers on there from when we film our TikTok videos and when we film our podcast episodes. It's a really good time. And we also do a Zoom meeting live every month with all of our awesome patrons if you want to join. So go head on over there, check it out. It's a good vibe. It's a good time. Thanks, besties. Bye.
All 12 of them were captured, and they were all taken to the prison called Paraguay Prison in southwestern France.
Huh.
And so Virginia was aware of this. She knew that they were all captured. She's trying to think of what she can do, because she's like, okay, we got to do something. Can we get them out maybe? Like, what can we do?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Germans were actually starting to pick up on the fact that there's a female spy going around, and they didn't know her name. They did have a sketch around about her that looked really similar to her, like with her sharp features. It had her brown hair.
Oh, no.
And they started calling her the Limping Lady.
The Limping Lady?
The Limping Lady. Because they didn't know her name, so they were like, we're looking for the Limping Lady.
Because they knew about her limp.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who talked?
Right? So somebody knew. So
somebody's a snitch.
Yeah. So Virginia's starting to lay low. She's like, I am extremely wanted right now. Yeah. She's doing whatever she can to lay low. But it was funny because Nazis actually thought that she was Canadian because of how well she spoke French. They're like, she can't be American. Could not be American. No way.
She can't be American. She speaks a foreign language too well. She can't possibly be one of those Americans.
Right? So anyway.
I love that that's like our calling card. That's our identifier.
Oh, they can always tell. They can spot a American. Anybody could. That's American.
One of the
Buongiorno.
One of the first things I learned in French was je suis américaine. Mon français est très terrible.
Yeah, see?
It is. See? It's bad.
Oui, oui.
My French sucks.
No, I think it sounded great.
No, it didn't.
Oh, man.
No, it wasn't. I did 4 years of French study, and I didn't know that there was gendered versions of the word, like, American. It's like American and American, except I can't, like, say it right. I'm struggling. If any of you speak French, you're probably laughing at me right now.
We're like, she is not even close.
She's working on it.
So one of the spies that were arrested out of the 12 was named Jean-Paul Bloch, and he was actually arrested with his wife, Gabby. Mm-hmm. But Gabby was actually, like, released after a while. I'm not too sure why. I think because she didn't have a lot of involvement or because she was a woman, but they did let her go.
It surprises me that, like, if they released her because she was a woman, I'm like,
I don't know. Yeah, but they let her go.
It's interesting.
It is. So Gabby was let go. She reached out to either her boss. I'm not sure if she was also a spy or if just her husband, Jean-Paul, was a spy. But she reached out to the SOE, the boss, and was like, what do I do now? I've been released. And he actually was like, go reach out to Virginia. She's still out there. See what she can do for you.
Okay.
So she met up with Virginia and they started, like, becoming friends.
Okay.
So yeah, and they actually learned through a message from an American ambassador at the time that all the prisoners were being transported from that Paraguay prison to another prison at Mauzac. So they started thinking maybe during this transfer, that would be a good time to help them escape.
Mm-hmm.
But because they were so malnourished during the time and they had orders to shoot on sight, it was just too dangerous to do it.
Well, in the way the Nazis were, they probably would have just killed all the prisoners.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be like, oh, you're trying to bust them out? Brrr.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. And so they started thinking of another way to start plotting an escape for them.
Mm.
And so since Virginia was extremely wanted, she couldn't go anywhere near that prison.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Like, a woman who limps. Get her!
So Gabby ended up, they used Gabby since her husband was still in prison. She would go like to visit him, quote unquote, 3 times a week.
Oh, I got you.
And she was bringing things in, like smuggling things into the prison meanwhile. So
huh, that's impressive.
They smuggled screwdrivers, sharps, metal materials, different scraps and things, all through cakes, hollowed out books, laundry, just anything they could bring in, which I don't know how you could bring in things to prison.
Well, and like a Nazi prison,
right?
No less. Like, you're like, oh, I'm bringing them some books and laundry and some cakes. And the Nazis are like, sure.
Yeah, they're spies. They deserve it.
Yeah, like, I'm surprised, especially the cakes. I'm surprised they didn't just take them.
Yeah, and there was even like a jam, like a jar of jam that they like smuggled like a file in there too. Like they were
they were like, you have a jar of jam? Sure, go on through. What?
Prison was so different.
That's so confusing.
Yeah, so that's
like, I feel like in the modern day, I'm like, oh, I'm bringing them a cake. They'd be like, ha!
And that's why, because people would use them to smuggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess this was before that. So yeah, they were able to smuggle all kinds of metal materials and pieces in. And they actually ended up, with all the materials that they got, they ended up being able to make keys for their locks.
That is a level of genius that I don't have.
I don't know how, but yeah,
I am not that smart.
Right? So they all made keys out of their locks, but before the plan was like about to be complete, the SOE actually was like, we should pull Virginia back to London because she's really like, it's getting hot. Like they're really looking for her. Mm-hmm. You're about to get caught. Yeah. But she was like, no, like I am so close to getting these prisoners released. Like I'm staying here.
No, girl.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if they're looking for, well, and it may have been hard at the time period, but I wonder if like, I feel like I would try to get hold of like a wheelchair.
Oh, wait for it. That's
like,
funny you say that.
To not be able to walk at all.
Smart. I see what you're saying.
Because then it's like, oh, I'm not a limping lady. I literally can't walk.
You're smart, yeah. Well, it's interesting you just brought up a wheelchair because she actually had an idea because she wanted to, she's like, we've been smuggling quite a bit. We've been doing pretty good. She's like, why don't we smuggle in an entire wireless transmitter? Which is about the size...
How the hell?
Which is about the size of like a briefcase. So they were like, how are we going to do that? She had taken notice of this World War I veteran that was like a frequent visitor at the prison and he was going in and out and he was in a wheelchair.
No.
And she's like, hey, how are you?
I swear I didn't read that.
Yeah. So she ends up getting him to smuggle the wireless transmitter by sitting on his wheelchair, like sitting on it in his wheelchair. And they allowed him to go back, like, to visit the spies. Like, oh, I don't know why they got away with all this stuff. Like, he literally went back to visit them alone. Like, the Gestapo or the police, like, let him.
So is it the Germans at this point, or is it the French police?
Technically, it's the French police.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading, like, memoirs and stuff.
Yeah.
Of, like, this time period and, like, this area.
Uh-huh.
And it was, like, people could get away with a lot more with the French police.
Oh.
But then once they ended the Vichy France thing and they invaded the south of France, like, you absolutely could not get away with that with, like, the Gestapo.
So that's why.
Okay. That makes more sense. Because I'm like, I cannot picture Nazis just being like, yep, cake, yep, jam, yep, books. What?
It's the French police, yeah.
There we go. French police.
Sorry about that, you guys. But so the veteran goes in his wheelchair and he gets himself up and he gives the spies this wireless transmitter and they're like, what? They're like, whoa. And so
no, for real, like, what the hell?
So they're like, oh, we're getting to work. So they set up the cell. It needed a really long antenna. So they had to like string it out of the cell, literally through the yard, all the way up into the fence. They never got caught.
Wow.
There is this like wire going.
These guys are lazy.
Right? There's this whole wire going all the way and it's going all the way to the fence.
Dude, these French police did not give a crap. I feel like they were all just drunk.
Oh, dude, I love how you bring this up. You keep guessing everything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And so what they decided to do, because they had, the transmitter, they had everything they needed now to go ahead and plan their escape. They were able to communicate. Virginia is like, okay, I'll be out there whatever night it is. I'll be out there. in the middle of the night. It's going to be like 3 a.m. when they escape, and she's going to pick them up. So they even planned so well that they had somebody go in through the front to try to smuggle in booze, knowing that they'd get caught, knowing that the French guards would be drunk that night.
There it is. I was like, these guys had to have been drunk this whole time, because what the hell are you doing?
Isn't that smart, though? She's like, okay, you go smuggle in some booze so that they have booze.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so they're all drinking and,
having a good time.
There was one of the spies in there that was like, got scared, like, we're going to get in trouble. Like, we can't do this. We can't do this.
Girl, you're already in trouble.
Right? And they were like, if you do this, like, I'm going to, like, tell them. Like, they were threatening the rest of them.
Listen. I feel like with situations like this, and, like, you're literally a resistance against the Nazis and things like that, this is a situation of the show must go on.
Yeah.
I feel like I would kill her.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I feel like I'm in this situation. I'm trying to bust out of prison. Because, like, a lot of times these prisoners would get transferred to the Nazis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm like, if that's what it's coming down to, and you're sitting here being like, I'm going to be like, listen, you can either join us, or I'm going to snap your neck.
No, seriously.
Like, I will kill you right here.
I agree, yeah.
Now y'all know who I am. Anyway, go on.
So, yeah, that person was like, we can't do this. Like, I'm going to tell. And so they ended up drugging their drink. Because they're like, go to sleep. We are doing this.
Or you could do that.
Yeah, that's a nicer way.
They're better people than I am, I guess. I'm over here like, killer.
No, he went nighty-night for the night.
She went nighty-night for the night.
It
was a he? I thought you said it was a she.
I said it was a spy. I never said it was a she.
Dang, I'm just like internalized sexism.
Yeah, you kept saying she, and I'm like, he.
I just decided it was a girl. Okay.
Anyway. So they drugged her or him. I keep saying her now.
I screwed it up. I'm sorry.
And then they continued on with the plan. So it's the middle of the night. The way that they did this is actually like the first person like got out and like lit a pipe at the end so that they knew the coast was clear. They actually used a rope because their cells were like in these barracks outside for some reason. Okay. So they used, after they like unlocked it with the key that they made, they used a rope. They would go one at a time, walk all the way to the fence and scale the fence. And then when they'd get to the fence, they'd tug one time to let the person know you're good, or 3 times to say, stop, danger,
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up it was a success. They all were able to escape.
What about the drugged one? Did they just leave them there? Did someone like carry them?
No, they left them there. I wouldn't be carrying it. That's on you. You didn't want to come.
You didn't want to participate.
I know no other information about that person. I just know that they drugged them and then
they're nicer than me.
Right?
I literally would have but I guess they had drugs. I was operating under the assumption that wasn't a possibility. I'm just saying. Yeah. So like, if you didn't have drugs to like make them go to sleep.
She just wanted to kill somebody.
I did not just want to kill somebody.
Kidding.
I did not. But seriously, what would you do in that situation?
No, because it is one of those situations where it's life or death.
It is life or death.
So
you're going to end up in front of a Nazi firing squad.
No. Yeah.
Like, no thank you.
So they all escaped, which is incredible. Like, that's badass. That's amazing.
That's badass.
Right? So there's this like 2-week-long manhunt where the like Gestapo is searching for them because they're like,
or is it the French police?
It was the Gestapo now too.
It was the Gestapo now?
Okay. Because like now that they knew that they escaped, like the Gestapo was after them.
I would not wish that on anybody. Nope. Almost anybody. There's some people I could think of.
Virginia had already had this like safe house set up for them with all the supplies and everything. They ended up like going to a safe house for 2 weeks, and then they like separated all to different safe houses. This was like a really thought out plan. It was crazy.
Nice. She sounds very, very smart.
Yes. So the Gestapo was searching relentlessly. They're kicking in doors of people's houses trying to find these people.
I mean, it sounds accurate. Yeah, I mean, this was a time period where people were having to live in like crawl spaces to hide from the Gestapo. Yep. So like, I believe, because like people would literally, I've even thought about this because I've read so many of these memoirs and things. Like, we're sitting in a closet right now, right? People would literally like install a wall like right here to make the closet look just imperceptibly smaller, where like you can't look from the outside and be like, no, that should be bigger. And you'd be like scrunched in to like this.
That's so sad.
There's people who hid like that for years.
I know.
It's insane.
It's horrible.
It's insane.
Seriously, cannot even imagine it.
Like when they wanted to find somebody.
So, yeah, Virginia knew that she was actually informed, like, hey, the Gestapo knows, like, your apartment, like, they're about to get you. Mm-hmm. So, or I don't know if it was an apartment or a hotel or whatever, but she starts, like, okay, I need to make my way back to London before I get captured. So she gets all of her stuff, and she starts going. She actually took a train out, like, 3 days before her place was raided by the Gestapo.
That gives me heart palpitations.
Right? So it's 1942. She takes this train. This is actually so crazy. You guys think it's like crazy already? Just wait. So it's 1942. This train drops her off by this mountain. It's the Pyrenees mountain that's in between France and Spain. Mm-hmm. Okay. He drops her off at this mountain.
Is it a mountain or mountains?
Mountains, but whatever. Drops her off here, and there's a 50-mile trek that she has to take from France to Spain to make her escape. She has her wooden leg, and it's snowing.
So that really hard hike.
Yes.
From our childhood. That, you know, the one. I think that one is 13 miles.
50 miles.
So do that almost times 5.
Yeah. And so the terrain was awful, like trying to get through this. She dragged herself through. She actually had
she's got a missing leg.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She actually had a guide go with her. So she actually had a guide go with her, and this guide was notorious for literally just leaving people if they didn't keep up.
What a jerk.
Yeah, he's like, if you can't keep up, I'm leaving you. So she caught up. This is a hike that people actually do today, even that like during nice weather that people do. It takes them like 3 to 4 days. She did this with her wooden leg during the snow, running from the Gestapo in 2 to 3 days.
Damn.
Yeah.
So they're like jogging. They're like running.
I'm not too positive. I don't think that they did, but they were quick. I mean,
you'd have to be hoofing it.
Right?
Like if people today do that in 3 to 4 days in nice weather, and they're doing it in snow, and they did it in 2 to 3, they're hoofing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. So she made her way to Spain. She did get caught up in immigration there, but she contacted the SOE, and she was officially finally freed.
Well, that's good, because I feel like I've read before that like some of these intelligence agencies will be like, nope, never heard of you.
Imagine, that would be horrible.
No, I've heard that's a thing. That like they will literally just like cut their losses and just be like, well, sucks that you got caught. Bye.
So she actually wanted to go back to work. She's like, I want to keep being a spy. I'm not done. But the SOE was like, girl, you are so famously recognized by the Gestapo. You cannot, like, you're done.
Take the L.
Yeah, you're done.
Go home.
So she said, I'm done with you guys. I'm going to America to the OSS, that CIA. She's like, I'm going to join them if you guys are done with me.
Don't join the CIA. Guys, if you never take any advice from me in life, please don't join the CIA. Don't try heroin and don't join the CIA. So those are the 2 things I'm going to hammer into my son's brain.
But she loved being a spy, and she's like, I got all this experience. The SOE doesn't want me anymore. You guys take me. And they were like, yeah, like she had all this intellect and experience, and the CIA took her in 1944. Now they like women. Right? So because of obviously the reasons that this SOE didn't take her, because she was so famous and would be recognized, she disguised herself as an old woman so she could continue being the spy. Stop.
I'm not reading. I'm sorry.
She disguised herself as an old woman so that she could keep being a spy. She even went to the lengths of having a dentist file down her teeth to make her look like an old peasant woman. Completely unrecognizable.
That's commitment.
Right?
Don't touch my teeth.
She wasn't done. She's like, I'm still a spy. So she went back to France and started it again. I feel
like now spies can just do like a fake teeth thing.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I feel like you can just get some very good fake teeth that look, I don't know. But dang. So she was just like, I'm going back. Well, and then that would hide her limp.
Yeah.
Because it's like the limp was unusual because she was young.
Now she's old.
And now she's like an old woman with a cane. And nobody's going to look twice.
Yep.
Wow.
Genius. So she goes back, she starts organizing resistance groups in France again, sabotaging against the Nazis, against their infrastructure.
Sabotage!
Yes. She actually ended up overseeing 1,500 resistance fighters at this time.
Damn!
And if
there's not, okay.
Yeah.
I am feeling really self-conscious about my life.
She's incredible. The things that she did is, I'm
feeling really like, wow. My life is so lame.
So yeah, her resistance fighters led to the death of 170 German soldiers and 800 captured.
Get it!
Yeah.
Get it!
So
that's amazing.
That's what she did. And then after the war ended in 1945, she was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, and she only wanted one person to witness this, which was her mother. She didn't want anyone to know.
I guess I feel like that's also partly like a thing of like, you wanted me to get married. And I did this. Like, I wonder if there was ever any tensions between her and her mom.
I'm not sure, yeah.
You know, because I could kind of see that. Kind of like, my daughter's off in Vienna again, or whatever. And so I honestly wonder if she was just a little bit like, Look what I did, Mom.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, and President Harry Truman at the time, he wanted to recognize her as a war hero that she was. And she wanted to do this big old ceremony and, you know, recognize her. And she didn't want to. She's like, no, I'm still, like, technically in active duty. If you guys need me to be a spy again, like, I don't want to be famous.
That's valid.
Yeah. Well, and also she said all of my friends that had talked before usually ended up dead. So I'm not trying to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't work for the CIA.
Yeah. So she was also made an honorary member of the British Empire, and she was awarded the Croix. How do you pronounce that?
Croix de Guerre
with Palm by France. I'm not sure what that is, but it's another.
That's Cross of Guerre.
Yeah, sure.
I know. Croix. Is it Croix? C-R.
Croix. Yeah.
I think it's like Croix.
Yeah.
Is cross. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. I don't know what Guerre is though.
So she didn't ever aspire for fame, like I said, and until her death, and it was in 1982, where finally in her obituary this was like laid out and people learned about what she did.
Bro, can you imagine? No, it's like BT Dubs' grandma was a badass spy.
No,
in seriously. The 40s. Although I'm just saying, I'm still saying I would believe it of our grandmother. Like, have you seen that woman? Like, she just has this presence about her.
Oh my gosh.
She's so beautiful.
She is.
And I could seriously just see her just like
taking people out.
And she's so smart.
She is, yeah.
She's so smart. Like, I could literally see her like being questioned by like the Germans or something and just being like, me, officer, I am a mother. I am a secretary.
Oh,
our grandmother was a secretary for I don't even know how many decades.
But before she died, Virginia actually like worked in the CIA for a while, but she was discriminated pretty much the whole time because she's a woman with a disability. But in the 50s, she went back to France. She kept setting up resistant groups again because she was like, in case there's a Soviet attack, we're gonna be ready.
Oh, so she was combating the communists.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Sigh.
Yeah. So she ended up retiring from spying in 1960. Before she did, she actually fell in love with and married another OSS agent named Lieutenant Paul Giello. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
Guala.
But
oh, it's an O. Anyway. I don't even know. That's a weird name.
But they ended up getting married, and before they got married in 1957, so that 3 years before like she retired, they were like a spy couple together going out on adventures. Like, isn't that crazy?
Power couple,
right?
So she got married at what was that? 51 years old.
Yeah, because she was 19. Yeah.
Wow.
Or no, she was born in 1906. So.
She had a heck of a life.
So yeah, that was the story of Virginia Hall. She was
the Limping Lady.
The Limping Lady, yeah.
That's amazing. I really wonder if she had any like romantic entanglements in there.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, because she was so private. Like the things that she did and everything, there's still so much like classified information we have no idea that she did. Because what we know is just the bare minimum, you guys.
Wow.
We don't
I seriously I would suck at being a spy because I'm so quickly like, girl, guess what?
That's what happened.
I'll tell everybody everything.
No, seriously.
Oh, I love it. That was a good story. And it's really interesting because I think our two leading ladies would be friends because the story that we have for our next episode is my story, but we record our episodes on the same day. And so I think you're going to enjoy it.
You guys will have to check that one out too. But let us know what you thought of Virginia Hall, the Limping Lady. Let us know if you've ever heard the story or have heard anything that I don't know about it.
And talk to me about the Russia patch and Vichy France.
What's up with that?
I want to know about both. And if y'all are going to jump on the comments to insult my French, listen, I know it's bad. My Chinese is a lot better. So just be nice to me.
All right, you guys. Thanks for watching.
We love you. Bye.